Hey everyone, before we dive into tonight's twisted tale, I just want to say thank you. This channel has grown because of you, the night owls, rule breakers, and horror fans who keep coming back for more. If you want to take it even further, consider joining the Sinister Elite. It helps me tremendously to keep the stories coming, and you'll unlock exclusive emojis and members-only perks along the way. And if you're looking for horror that goes beyond strange rules, check out my new channel, Sinister Shadows. It's where the darker, weirder stuff lives. The link's in the description. Make sure you're subscribed to both channels, drop a like, and if you're brave enough, join the Sinister Elite. Now, on to tonight's story. Just remember, follow the rules, or end up in the story. They don't put this in the job description. Laundry technician, night shift, must have reliable transportation, strong stomach, and the ability to ignore suspicious noises after 2 a.m. Previous experience working with cryptids, ghosts, or elder gods is a plus. That's what the ad said. I thought it was a joke. A Craigslist meme. You know, like those fake ads people post to get clicks. Turns out it wasn't a joke. Not even close. The Laundromat's official name is Spick and Span, a wash above the rest, but the regulars just call it the Spin Cycle Hellhole. We're open from dusk until dawn, and strictly for non-humans. That's rule number 1. The rules are taped behind the counter in faded marker on a wrinkled piece of notebook paper, right above where we keep the mop. Not my problem if you spot it. I was told not to talk about it. The rules. No humans after 7 p.m. Management makes an exception for me, because I'm technically on the clock. Yay me. Do not remove socks left behind in the dryers. If a dryer starts shaking violently, offer it quarters. If something comes out of the rinse cycle that wasn't clothing, feed it and send it on its way. Never, ever unfold the lost and found basket after midnight. Simple enough, right? First night I worked here, I broke 2 rules before my first coffee break. Nearly lost my hand to a poltergeist's boxer briefs. I've learned a lot since then. Mostly, keep your head down, your pockets full of quarters, and your soul firmly zipped up inside your skin. Tonight started like any other. Dead flies buzzing under the flickering neon. The steady hum of washers devouring socks. A vending machine coughing up stale snacks from the year 2002. And me? Bleary-eyed behind the counter, armed with a roll of quarters and a bucket of dryer sheets. "Evening, Frank," I said as the door chimed. Frank's one of the regulars. Frankenstein's monster, technically, but he hates being called that. Says it's offensive. I get it. I don't like being called laundry boy either. He gave me a nod, lugging in his usual bag of torn suits and suspiciously damp towels. I slid him his tokens and he lumbered off toward machine number 4, the only one big enough for someone built like a fridge taped to a recliner. Business as usual. Until the sock showed up. Not a sock. The sock. It happens sometimes around midnight, like it's part of some terrible cosmic joke. I'll turn my back for a second, and suddenly there's a single lonely sock sitting on top of dryer number 6. Striped, red and black. Looks like it belongs to a clown who didn't make it past round 1 of Squid Game. No one brings it in. No one claims it. And God help you if you try to pick it up, because socks in this place are alive. Sort of. I watched from behind the counter as the sock twitched, like a worm, like a dying thing trying to wriggle itself back to wherever it came from. This wasn't my first rodeo. I poured myself another cup of coffee from the machine marked for staff only. Likely cursed and waited. The sock squirmed. It turned. It stood. Tiny little threads for legs, weaving themselves together like spiders building a nightmare. I've seen worse. I've mopped worse. Again. Not talking about the mop. It began dragging itself toward the lost and found basket, which, I might add, is chained shut for a reason. Rule number 5. I let it go. Best not to interfere. That's when Mrs. Bug showed up. If you've never met Mrs. Bug, count your blessings. Imagine if your grandma was a spider the size of a minivan who wore a church hat and smelled faintly of lavender and meat. She scuttled in with a purse clutched in all 8 hands and gave me a polite little wave. "Evening, dear. I do hope machine number 7 isn't still, hungry." "Oh, it's fine now, Mrs. Bug. It had a snack earlier." She gave a satisfied hum. Good. Hate to lose another husband to the rinse cycle. You know how it is." I don't. But I nodded anyway, while she unloaded her laundry, silk veils, webbing, a few items I'm pretty sure were moving. The sock kept inching closer to the basket. Mrs. Bug's eyes, all 16 of them, narrowed. "You haven't touched it, have you?" she asked. "Course not. I know the rules." "Good boy. It's best not to anger the footlings." I blinked. "The what? Now?" But she was already humming to herself, stuffing quarters into machine number 7. I made a mental note to ask management what the hell a footling was when my shift ended, assuming I survived. By 2 a.m., the sock had disappeared, lost to the basket, or eaten by it. Honestly, the difference feels academic. Frank gave me a grunt goodbye. Mrs. Bug waved all her hands. I locked the doors behind them and flipped the sign to "Closed until dusk." Another night survived, another paycheck earned. Behind me, something rustled near the mop. I didn't look. I'm not stupid. You'd think after 6 months working the graveyard shift at a laundromat for monsters, I'd stop being surprised by socks trying to eat people. You'd be wrong. See, the thing about working here is you stop questioning the big stuff after week 1. The tentacles that come out of the coin slots? Fine. The dryer that screams if you try to open it too early? Sure. The thing under the vending machine that keeps stealing my shoes? Whatever. But it's the little stuff that wears you down. Like the socks. Management leaves notes sometimes. They're not helpful. Last week said, "Stop looking behind the mop closet. You won't like what you see." I taped that one up next to the others. It's like a collage of passive-aggressive dread over there. But last night's sock? That was different. That sock moved with purpose. It had somewhere to be. And now it's gone. Which should be fine. Except it wasn't. By 10 p.m. the next night, there were 3 socks. All identical. Red and black stripes. Sitting in different spots around the laundromat like weird little sentries. Watching. I checked the rules again. Nothing about multiples. Nothing about an invasion. Just the usual. Don't touch. Don't interfere. Don't open the basket. Easy. Until Ted showed up. Ted's a troll. Works construction. Smells like wet rocks and sadness. He's a regular, though, and usually keeps his head down. Tonight, not so much. "Hey, buddy," Ted grunted, hauling in a duffel bag the size of a coffin. "You got any detergent that won't burn through flesh?" "Second shelf. Green bottle. Not the one with teeth." "Thanks." He lumbered toward machine number 5, trailing gravel and moss, and accidentally kicked one of the socks. The sock didn't move, didn't twitch, didn't react. But the lights above flickered. I felt something shift in the air, like the building itself sucked in a breath. "You all right, man?" I called. Ted gave me a thumbs up. "Yeah, dumb sock tried to trip me. Clumsy thing." Right, clumsy. Not malevolent. Not quietly summoning some ancient laundry deity from beyond the spin cycle. Sure. Mrs. Bug showed up around midnight, as usual. Gave the socks a glance and made the sign of the web with all her hands. "That's new," she muttered. "What's new?" "The gathering. It's been a while." "The what now?" She shook her head, hat bobbing with the weight of 2 perched crows. "You should speak to the basket, before it's too late." I blinked at her. "Speak to the basket?" "Your staff. It's your job." This wasn't covered in orientation. Orientation, mostly covered how to avoid being eaten and where to find the spare mop. I don't think I'm authorized to. Just be polite about it. And bring an offering. Bread usually works. Bread? For a basket? I was running on 2 hours of sleep and 4 cups of cursed coffee, but even I knew this sounded ridiculous. Still, when Mrs. Bug gives advice, you listen. So I grabbed a dinner roll from the vending machine, still warm, unsettlingly, and approached the lost and found basket. It sat in the corner, closed, chained, unmoving. "Hey there," I said, feeling like an idiot. "Just checking in. Brought you a snack." I placed the roll on top. Nothing happened. I turned to leave. The chain rattled. A low, muffled voice hissed from inside. "More. More bread? More socks. Great." Now I was negotiating with furniture. I can't just go taking people's socks. That's against policy. "They're not people." The lights flickered again. The air grew cold. The mop in the corner seemed to lean a little, like it was trying not to get involved. Ted, oblivious, kept loading rocks into machine number 5. Mrs. Bug gave me a look like I told you so. "You'll need to make a trade," she said, clicking her pincers thoughtfully. 3 socks, 3 offerings, or it'll take something else." "Something else like what?" She smiled. "Too many teeth for one mouth." "Staff, usually." I checked the rules again. No help there. Management's idea of communication was leaving bloodstains in the break room fridge. "Fine. 3 offerings." I emptied my pockets. 1 wrapped peppermint, 1 half-used dryer sheet, 1 crumpled note from management. "Stop staring into the drain." I set them on the basket. The chain snapped open. The lid lifted. Inside, socks. Piles of them. Striped, plain, polka-dotted. All pulsing like they were breathing. The 3 from the floor dragged themselves inside like rats to a nest. The lid closed. The chain rewound itself. Mrs. Bug clapped politely. "Good show, dear. You might survive yet." Ted didn't notice any of it. His machine finished, belched steam, and spit out a perfectly folded pile of rocks. "Later, buddy," he said, giving me a thumbs up as he left. I locked up behind him. Another night survived. Another paycheck earned. The mop rattled faintly in its corner. I didn't look. There's something they don't tell you when you start working night shift at a laundromat for monsters. The building itself has seniority over you. I got a call from management after the whole talking basket incident. If you've never spoken to management, lucky you. Their voice sounds like a fax machine trying to scream underwater. You don't hear it so much as feel it, vibrating in your molars and rattling your spine like loose change in a dryer. "You spoke to the basket." "It spoke first," I pointed out. "Did you feed it?" "Yeah. A vending machine roll and some spare change." Long pause, static rising. "Acceptable. Do not make a habit of it. The basket is not to be indulged." "Understood. Do not speak to the socks." "You think I want to?" They creep me out. "Good employee. Continue to ignore the mop closet." Click. That was it. That was the feedback. I hung up the phone and poured myself another cup of cursed coffee. Out front, the neon sign buzzed. "Open for monsters. Humans by permission only." Underneath, someone had scribbled in marker, "No exceptions, no refunds, no gods, just another Tuesday." Mrs. Bug didn't show up tonight. Frank did, lugging his usual bag of suits and a bouquet of wires for reasons I didn't ask about. "Evening," he grunted. "Machine number 4's open." He nodded, dropped his bag with a noise like a body hitting concrete, and shuffled off. That's when I noticed it. Another sock. Same as before. Red and black stripes, sitting on top of machine number 8. I glared at it. The sock sat there, limp but smug. I swear it looked smug. Behind the counter, I checked the rules again. Still no amendments. Still no guidance on what to do when the socks multiply like cursed rabbits. Management said not to speak to them. Fine. But they didn't say I couldn't watch. So I watched. Midnight rolled around. The sock twitched, shifted, slid down the side of machine number 8 like a slug on vacation. Another joined it from machine number 3, then another from the folding table. 3 socks, moving in perfect sync, headed straight for the basket. Again. This was starting to feel less like a fluke and more like a ritual. Mrs. Bug's words came back to me. It's been a while. The gathering. Great. I'm working for a cult of sentient laundry. The mop trembled in its corner. I ignored it. I'm paid to clean, not to investigate haunted janitorial supplies. At 2:03 a.m., the socks vanished into the basket. The chain locked itself. Another normal night in Hell's laundromat. I locked up after Frank, who grunted his usual goodbye and left a trail of static in his wake. That's when I saw the note taped to the door. Not my handwriting. Not anyone's handwriting. Looked like it had been scratched into the paper with a claw. They're almost ready. Below it, a little doodle, a sock, smiling, with teeth. Fantastic. I checked the break room. Nothing out of place, except for the usual offerings to whatever thing lived in the drain. Half a donut, a pack of gum, one perfectly folded napkin with "thank you" written in blood. Fine. Normal. Whatever. I checked the mop. Still leaning, still dripping something that might have been water in 1993. I left it alone. By my next shift, things had escalated. The basket was overflowing. Socks everywhere, red and black stripes, twisting together like snakes trying to learn crochet. I locked the door early. Taped up a sign. Closed for fumigation. Monster business only. Then I called management. They're ready sooner than expected. What's ready? The socks? For what? The reunion. You're gonna have to be more specific. Read your contract. I pulled my employee handbook from under the counter. Between pages 6 and 7, where someone had stuffed a used Band-Aid as a bookmark, I found the fine print. In the event of sock convergence, staff will vacate premises and allow natural progression of Eldritch laundry cycle. Great. Natural progression? What was that? Summoning a demon? Eating the building? Turning into one enormous sentient sweater? No answers. Management hung up on me again. Fine. You want natural progression? I'll give you natural progression. I pulled a chair up to the counter, poured my coffee, watched the socks pile up. They were humming now. Not loud, not music. More like the sound your dryer makes when something's spinning in there that shouldn't be. The air got thick, heavy, smelled like burned wool and regret. The basket shuddered. The mop, still watching me. If you've never sat alone in a haunted laundromat at 3 a.m., while socks hum themselves into some kind of apocalyptic mass, trust me, you're not missing much. By now, the basket wasn't just full of red and black striped socks. It was swollen, inflated, like something inside it was breathing. I thought about leaving. Really, I did. But I've got bills to pay and management frowns on desertion. Also, the door wouldn't open anymore. That's another rule no one wrote down. Once the socks decide it's time, you're not going anywhere. The vending machine coughed violently and spit out a single packet of peanuts with teeth marks in the foil. Probably not important. Probably not the worst thing happening tonight. From the basket came a voice. Not loud, not clear, but I heard it. Soon, soon, soon. Great. Real helpful. I grabbed my coffee, cold now, sour and muttering under its breath, and tried to think. What did Mrs. Bug say? 3 offerings, or it'll take something else. Well, the offerings didn't slow it down this time. At 3:33 a.m., Frank showed up. Not usual, not scheduled, but there he was, hulking through the door like a bag of wet bricks stuffed into a funeral suit. You seeing this? He asked. Oh yeah, it's new. Real cutting-edge horror. I'm thinking about pitching it to Netflix. Frank grunted. Basket's full. No kidding. He eyed the swelling mass of socks like he was sizing up an old enemy. Means it's time. Time for what? He didn't answer. just pulled out a laundry token the size of a hubcap, shoved it into his usual machine, number 4, which hadn't been running tonight. It roared to life. Lights dimmed. Floor vibrated. Somewhere in the ceiling, something growled. Frank tossed in his bag. Not clothes this time. Bones, bits of wire, a tooth the size of my hand. I didn't ask. "You might want to stand back," he said. I didn't argue. Machine number 4 groaned like it was in pain. Something inside it started knocking. Hard, fast, like fists pounding from the inside trying to get out. Then the socks stopped humming. They moved. Together. Like one creature in 100 tiny bodies. Crawling. Slithering. Toward machine number 4. Frank watched, arms crossed. "Gotta feed 'em. That's the rule. You could have mentioned this sooner." He shrugged. "Didn't think we'd get this far this cycle." The socks piled in. Machine number 4 stretched itself open, wider than metal should bend, and swallowed them whole. Door slammed. Lock engaged. Spin cycle began. The basket deflated. The room exhaled. Frank gave me a thumbs up. Handled. "That's it? Handled? For now." He collected his bag, now lighter, empty of bones, and headed for the door. "See you next convergence." "What exactly are we converging on?" I called after him. "Management knows, not my department." The door opened for him, easy as you please, slammed shut behind him. I checked the rules again. Still no updates, still no clause for feeding socks to a machine so they don't devour reality. At 4 a.m., Mrs. Bug arrived, early for her. She took one look at the drained basket, the spinning machine number 4, and nodded. "Good. You've survived another." "Another what?" She placed a dainty sack of silk on the counter. Inside, cookies shaped like tiny coffins. "Staff bonus." "I'd rather have a raise." "Raises don't help if you're eaten by socks." "Fair point." She loaded her usual veils and silk into machine number 7 and settled in with a crossword puzzle written in ancient runes. I pretended not to notice the ink bleeding off the page and forming new words on the tile. By 4:30 a.m., machine number 4 pinged done. I approached with caution, opened it slow. Inside, nothing. No socks, no bones, no remains. Just one folded piece of paper, damp and humming faintly. I unfolded it. "You're doing well. Management approves. Next cycle. Full moon. Prepare. Accordingly. Don't lose the mop." I glanced at the mop. Still there. Still watching. Still cleaner than I remembered. Had it moved? Nope. Not thinking about that. Not tonight. At 5 a.m., the neon sign flipped itself to closed. The locks clicked. I survived another shift. Another paycheck earned. Another entry in my growing list of things I should have quit over but didn't. Outside, Frank's truck rumbled past. License plate. SPIN-13. Probably not a coincidence. Inside, the vending machine dispensed another snack on its own. A single fortune cookie. I cracked it open. The socks remember. Great. Just what I needed. You know what nobody warns you about? Once you've seen socks crawl into a washing machine on their own and heard them hum themselves into oblivion, nothing else in life seems that weird anymore. I caught myself whistling during last night's shift. That's how far gone I am. Mrs. Bug brought in a pie for me. Said it was a "thank you for not letting the socks end the world" gesture. I didn't ask what was in it. She didn't tell me. Mutual respect is important in this line of work. Frank hadn't shown up again yet, but I knew he would. Monsters are like laundry. Eventually, they all circle back around. Tonight felt off, though. It wasn't just the usual hum of possessed dryers or the vending machine whispering to itself. It wasn't even the mop, which, by the way, had somehow migrated 3 feet to the left and was now leaning suggestively against the wall like it wanted to pick a fight. It was the basket. The chain was gone. The lid was open. Inside, not empty. Not socks either. Eyes. Just eyes. staring up from the dark like fish trapped beneath ice, blinking, waiting. Nope, not my problem. I put a cone in front of it. The sign said, "Out of order. Please do not feed." At 11:15 p.m., Ted came in. "I need 2 machines," he said. "One for clothes, one for bones. You're lucky we got a special tonight. Free dry cycle for remains under 50 pounds. He grunted in approval and got to work. While Ted loaded up, I checked the back room for new notes from management. They tend to leave them in weird places. Behind the mop bucket, under the cursed coffee pot, sometimes inside the vending machine's less popular snack options. Tonight's was taped inside the light fixture. I had to stand on a chair to read it. "Prepare for collection. The lost and found is hungry again. You will receive a delivery at 3 a.m. Do not sign for it." Cool. Nothing ominous about that at all. By midnight, Ted's bones were spinning, his socks were fluffed, and he gave me a thumbs up before leaving. The basket hissed as he went. I checked the rules again. No updates. Just the usual. No humans after 7 p.m. Do not remove socks left behind. Do not talk to the mop. Do not open the basket after midnight. Technically, I hadn't opened it. It did that on its own. Loophole. At 1:23 a.m., the vending machine spat out another unsolicited fortune cookie. "The basket is patient. You shouldn't be. Thanks for the advice, cursed snack appliance." I made another pot of coffee. The mop hadn't moved again, but I didn't trust it. It leaned there like it knew something I didn't. Probably did. Probably unionized with the vending machine by now. At 2:59 a.m., headlights appeared outside. Not a car. Not exactly. Something that looked like a delivery truck, if you squinted through 3 layers of existential dread. Its license plate read, SOX666. The driver didn't get out. The door didn't open, but a box appeared on the front step anyway. No one knocked. No one spoke. I remembered the note. Do not sign for it. Easy. I wasn't about to sign anything. But I couldn't just leave it sitting there either. Monsters have a weird sense of etiquette. Ignoring a delivery is basically an invitation to get eaten. So I dragged the box inside, heavy, cold, humming faintly, like a heartbeat made of dryer lint. 2. Lost and found from Supply and Convergence contents. 1. Missing handle with indifference. I pushed it toward the basket. The eyes blinked. The basket lifted its lid, not open so much as expectant. The box shuddered, split open. Something inside crawled out. It wasn't a sock this time. It was bigger. A lump of fabric stitched from socks, towels, scarves. All red and black stripes all writhing together. A shape with legs, arms. A head that looked disturbingly like a mitten turned inside out. It blinked at me, smiled. Opened its mouth, which was full of more socks. Without ceremony, it climbed into the basket. The lid snapped shut. The chain rewound itself from nowhere. Silence. The eyes vanished. Basket looked normal again. Innocent. Empty. Like it hadn't just accepted an offering from whatever horror operates Supply and Convergence. The vending machine dropped another fortune cookie. Good employee. Promotion pending. Promotion? To what? Human sacrifice? Assistant sock manager? I locked the doors. Poured one last cup of coffee. Checked the mop. It hadn't moved again. But someone had wedged a single red and black striped sock over the handle. Like a hat. I didn't ask questions. I'm not paid enough for answers. I never thought I'd say this, but getting promoted at a laundromat for monsters feels less like a raise, and more like a slow-motion descent into madness. Management didn't call. They didn't leave a note. They didn't have to. The moment I walked in for my next shift, the change was obvious. For starters, the lights didn't flicker anymore. They pulsed, in rhythm, like a heartbeat. Like the building itself had decided I was part of its circulatory system now. Second, my name tag was missing. In its place, a badge. Glossy black, stitched onto my uniform with thread that moved if you stared too long. Assistant to the regional manager of sock retrieval. Well, Promotion's a promotion. Frank showed up early this time. His usual pile of damp, broken things slung over one shoulder. "You got the badge," he said. "Apparently. Congratulations. You'll be needing this." He handed me a key. Old, rusted, shaped vaguely like a question mark with teeth. "What's it open?" "You'll know when it's time." Frank went to machine number 4 like always. Fed it something in a jar. I didn't look too closely. Some mysteries are better left in the spin cycle. Mrs. Bug arrived around midnight, didn't bring laundry this time. Brought me a gift bag instead, black silk, crawling faintly. Inside, a manual. Your new role, what to expect when you're expecting socks. Chapter 1. You belong to the basket now. Fun.real motivational reading material. By 12:30, I started noticing the socks again. Same as before, red and black, appearing out of nowhere. One on machine number 3, another on the folding table, a third slithering out of the vending machine's coin return like it had paid for its own passage. They moved in sync. Again. Toward the basket. Again. Only this time, the basket didn't wait for midnight. It opened itself. The chain slithered away like a snake looking for a less haunted job. Inside, not just socks, not just eyes, something deeper, darker. A mouth? A void? A laundry chute to hell? Hard to say. The socks leapt in, disappeared. The basket purred, and something else climbed out. Not fabric, not clothing. Something like a shadow, stitched from static and dryer lint, tall and wrong. It looked at me with button eyes and teeth made of snapped coat hangers. "Hello," it said, in a voice like silk tearing. "We've been watching." "Yeah, I figured. You're promoted." "So I've heard. You have questions." "Just a few dozen." It smiled. "Good employees ask questions. Great employees know when to keep folding." It gestured to the key. "Use it soon, or you won't have hands to fold with." Then it dissolved into a pile of clean, freshly folded socks, red and black, neatly stacked. I didn't touch them. Not stupid. Not yet. At 2:15 a.m., Ted came in. He noticed the badge immediately. "Welcome to middle management." "You knew this was coming?" "Everyone climbs the ladder, or gets folded into it, one way or another." He fed his bones to machine number 5, nodded politely to the basket, and left. The vending machine gave me another fortune cookie. The basket is satisfied. For now. Check the door behind the mop closet. Ah, the key. I moved the mop aside. It shivered but didn't resist. Behind it, a door I hadn't noticed before. Old wood. No handle. Just a lock, shaped like a mouth mid-scream. The key fit. Of course it did. Inside? Not much. A stairwell. Going down. Always down. At the bottom, another laundromat. Identical to ours. Dimmer. Quieter. Everything faintly damp like it had been abandoned underwater and only recently remembered how to breathe air. Behind the counter, a mirror. In it, me. But not me. The badge read, Regional Manager of Sock Retrieval. My reflection smiled. My reflection waved. The mop leaned in the corner behind him, watching, smiling if mops could smile. The basket behind him pulsed, opened. Inside, socks, eyes, teeth. A door deeper still. Behind me, the real mop tapped my shoulder. I jumped. It didn't speak. It didn't have to. I understood. Promotion isn't a ladder here. It's a circle. Prepare for the next cycle. If you're reading this, congratulations. You're probably about to be promoted. Or eaten. In this laundromat, it's kind of the same thing. My badge says Regional Manager of Sock Retrieval now. My reflection made sure of that. The mop seemed pleased. If a mop can be pleased, I'm honestly not sure anymore. I've learned something important. The rules weren't made to protect me. They were made to keep the cycle spinning. The socks aren't socks. Not really. They're seeds, spores, fragments of something older than washing machines and dryer lint. Something that existed long before fabric softener and coin slots. The basket? That's not lost and found. That's where they grow. And now, thanks to me, thanks to my promotions, thanks to following the rules just well enough, the cycle is ready to start over. At exactly midnight, the basket opened itself for the final time. No chains, no eyes, just a soft, inviting glow, like moonlight filtered through blood and bleach. The socks poured out, not crawling anymore, not slithering, marching. They gathered around machine number 4, which started itself without quarters, without clothes, without anything but the hunger of something that's been waiting too long. The mop stood upright now, perfectly balanced, perfectly still, like it was saluting. Mrs. Bug showed up right on time, in full funeral attire, a new hat with tiny bones pinned to the brim. "It's a lovely convergence tonight," she said sweetly. "You've done so well." "Thanks," I said. "I think?" Frank arrived too, not with laundry, just with a nod of approval and a token the size of a manhole cover. He slotted it into machine number 4. The machine shuddered, groaned, opened wider than physics should allow, and from inside the original sock stepped out. Bigger now, full grown, a creature stitched from every stray thread, every lost item, every forgotten promise of just one more rinse. It smiled at me, all teeth, all stripes. "You've kept us clean," it said. "You've kept us fed. Great. So what now? You eat the world?" It laughed, a sound like zippers unzipping themselves in reverse. "Number we expand. New laundromats, new cycles, new socks. Why tell me? Because you're part of us now. Promotion comes with perks." The mop leaned forward, its shadow stretched across the floor like an invitation. "You can go back upstairs," the sock said. "Run the shift, manage the cycle, or—" The mop tapped the ground. A hole opened. Down. Always down. "You can take the next step." Funny thing about this job. You start off thinking you're in charge of cleaning. Then you realize you're just another stain waiting to happen. I thought about it. The badge itched. My reflection was still smiling in that other laundromat. Below this one. Below that one. Below all of them. I stepped forward. Took the mop. It felt heavier than it should. It felt alive. The hole swallowed me whole. Now I run the shift below. The deeper laundromat. The older machines. The socks no longer pretend to be socks here. They don't need to. Above me, my replacement was already arriving. Some poor sap who thought working nights meant peace and quiet. They'll learn. Like I did. Like Frank did. Like Mrs. Bug did long before me. The rules are still taped to the wall. Still faded. Still ignored. Still true. Rules for night shift. No humans after 7 p.m. Do not remove socks left behind. If a dryer shakes, offer it quarters. If something comes out of the rinse cycle that wasn't clothing, feed it. Never open the basket after midnight. Never speak to the mop. Promotions are mandatory. Management left me a final note. It wasn't on paper. It was stitched into the inside of my eyelids now. Full cycle complete. Please remove items promptly. The vending machine down here only serves socks now. The coffee is blacker than death. The mop smiles at me every night. The neon sign still flickers above. Open for monsters. Humans by permission only. And I'm the one giving permission now. The cycle never ends.